I think we should give people like a minute to kind of log on first, so we can. We'll wait like 10, 20 seconds.
Sure.
All right, you guys ready? Let's do this.
Hold up, I gotta rename my shit.
There you go. All right. What is up, guys? Welcome to week 3 of our youth engagement series. I am your host, Chris, back here with my two co-hosts, Charlie and Amada. What is up, guys? How are you guys doing today?
It's going good, Chris. Just trying to get used to this week 7 of working indoors. It might be even week 8. I'm kind of losing count right now. But it's going good. How are you doing, Charlie?
Doing good. Just on my first cup of coffee still, so lightening up a little bit. But this weather's kind of got me feeling a gloomy type of way. Just trying to get past that, but productive nonetheless.
Yeah, we decided to go with a little morning view today, so we'll see how this goes, and if you guys like it, let us know. We might do more stuff in the morning, but just to warn you guys, I wake up around 10:30, so we're not gonna do that early. How's your guys' weekend been? How was your guys' challenges been? How was the last challenge that we had? The 20 push-ups. You guys able to do that?
Yeah, I'll start us off. I was able to complete the 20 push-up challenge. I kind of didn't want to show all the push-ups in the video towards the end. I was like, oh, so we got it going for a little, but I saw you guys were going crazy too with them. And it looked like some of the viewers we got a good amount of people to actually do the challenge too. So thanks to all those out there that did that, even with the smaller kiddos too. That was really cool to see.
The challenge is pretty good. Definitely getting me in the rhythm of push-ups again. It's been a while, so I think that it helped me kind of get back on that way of working out. I tend to get modernized and be like, well, I can't go to the gym, so what the heck? But push-ups and sit-ups, I think, are the bare essentials of working out. So I appreciate the incentive.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I was doing push-ups. So when I do it for the video, I kind of just like got like about 10 or 15 through, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is hard. But the push-ups is fun. Thank you guys for everyone who did their push-ups and sent it to us. That was great. That was much appreciated by us. So it didn't look like it was just us three doing push-ups for nothing. So thank you guys. For this week, our challenge gonna be a little more fun. We decided to have our challenge for this week be a trick shot challenge. So whether you're at home, you have a mini basketball hoop, or even like a little cup you want to throw a ball into, or the garbage can, you guys can come up with a piece of paper and throw it in there and show it to us. We're gonna have me, Charlie, and Amada. Obviously, we're gonna do some trick shots for you guys too. I know I got a couple tricks on my sleeve. I might even have to go outside and safely go outside and get some tricks on the big hoop. But we're gonna get creative as possible with this challenge. So you guys think you guys can do it?
I think so. And it doesn't even reminder too, there's a lot of ways you can shoot. You can do basketball. You can also do soccer goal. There's a lot of different types of trick shots that are, and with the shelter in place, it's a little different, but if some schools have goals up still and different stuff, I already got some ideas of brewing. So
how about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm stoked. This is something I feel like I practice in my spare time, even if it isn't like something I'm recording, something that's pretty fun. Keeps, definitely like whenever I want to take a break from schoolwork or just like work stuff, I just, I got a hoop right here in the living room. So I just, pull up Jay behind the back type stuff, so it's pretty fun. And like we're talking about, I know that not everyone will have a hoop like this, but garbage can, cup with ping pong ball or rock. I remember, throwing rocks at cups and stuff like that growing up. So, there's definitely creative ways to do it. I actually challenge you all to be creative and not just stick with the hoop, not just stick with the basketball, step out of that a little bit. I think even a football and a basketball hoop was fun for me growing up, and, just get creative with it. And there's no right way, no wrong way. So we're looking forward to that. I know it's going to be fun for me to actually record some of the things that I already kind of practiced up on. So we'll see what I got.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys out there have planned. I'm hoping for a lot of engagement. I'm hoping that you guys can show us what you guys what kind of trick shots you guys can think of. So I'm excited for that. For our quarantine question of the week, for you guys, my question is what is the one thing about the people that you're living with, whether it's your partner or your family, what is the most annoying thing that they do that's a pet peeve of yours?
Oh gosh. Well, I think it's just having to be in a close proximity for so long, like whether it's we have rooms to go in, all of that. It's just, I think the space thing and knowing when each other's space, whether, and I live in my grandmother's household as well as with my partner in a situation. So it's kind of like, oh, and my brothers are also around too. So it's a different situation. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting, but it's going good for the most part. I'm thinking in others, if I was with other family members, because we were thinking of a different arrangement in the beginning of this whole thing, how people were going to be situated. So it's like, no, this is okay for now. But yeah, I think just most part space.
How about you, Charlie?
You're going to get me in trouble, bro. No, I'm just kidding. It's funny because, you know, we could definitely at the point where it's like, we like aren't like too sensitive or just like, I'm like, what are the, like, I think we had a conversation like what's something that annoys you, what that I do that annoys you. And you know, because there's times where I'm just like goofy and just like kind of interface a little bit like what, like just sarcastic kind of humor. And so, you know, I kind of came to the conversation like, damn, how often do I annoy her and she doesn't really want to tell me? And so like it kind of brought up the conversation, and she's like, what about you? Like, what annoys you about me? And I was like, well, whenever I do the dishes, you know, like you just like come over and you just like involve, like put the dishes, like, and I have like a little system, I have a little process of doing dishes, and she'll just like put it down somewhere. And I'd like look at it like, ah. And she's like, what? And I was like, well, you know, that's where the clean dishes go, and you just put a dirty dish in there. And you know, so just little things like that I think are fun. You know, it's not a big deal. It's just like one of those things where, you know, two people have different ways of doing things, not necessarily the right or wrong way, but just like a different way of doing things. And so it's like those moments, but it's important to like have a little bit of comic relief and not take things too seriously, because we are like forced to be in the same room, you know, as much as we do have a good tendency to get out and about. It's just like, well, we're not gonna, like, we can't just like be at each other's throats all the time. You know, we got to give yourself some space and patience. So it's fun, you know, just working with it or going with the flow, I think helps me a lot.
I hope you realize that now that you said is you're gonna have to do the dishes from everything from now on. She's not gonna be allowed to do dishes anymore because you said that. So better watch out.
It's definitely a balance. You know, she cooks. I definitely don't want her to clean the dishes. And if I cook, she'll be like, well, I'll do the dishes because you cook. So it's definitely that reciprocal relationship that really helps. And I wouldn't be saying this if the conversation that we hadn't had. So throw that out there too.
Well, it's good to have that. It's good to have that trust. I mean, for me, I live alone, which is not as sad as it sounds, but I was at my grandma's, taking care of my grandma this weekend, and we were like, we were all together in the family room. My grandma it was like about 6 or 7:30 in the morning. I was still like kind of asleep. My little cousin was kind of asleep. My papa was still kind of asleep. My grandma will be full on like wide awake at early times in the morning, and I love my grandma to death. She's the happiest person in the world, but when it's 7:30 in the morning and you're groggy and like don't have your coffee yet, and you see someone come out, you be like, hey, you want to do this, want to do this, want to do this, like a little kid. You're just like, not yet. You got to tell her not yet. But that's, I think, is something that it's funny. Like Charlie said, it's funny to have, but it's something that you're like, okay, maybe I do need to go home and be alone for a minute so I can not be woken up at 5:30, 6:30 in the morning just with a happy grandma.
It's funny, that reminds me of like if you have a younger sibling on Christmas, like wake up, they're like the first ones awake, like you ready to start opening presents? Like, time is it? Like not really, go back to bed. And it's like asking a kid to go back to bed on Christmas morning is just kind of funny. But it's funny that your grandma kind of is that little kid to you in a way.
She's got that youthful play, so it puts me on my toes. Definitely, I'll know that I have to be awake as soon as I get up, or Granny's gonna start messing with me, and Granny starts messing with you. You know it's all bad.
It reminds me of Hoodwinked, the grandma, how like she's like riding her bike and just like adventurous grandma.
That's definitely my granny. But you guys in the who are watching right now, let us know what well, maybe don't call anybody out, but let us know something that your family does, or your brothers, or your sisters, or even your parents do, or parents stuff the kids do that annoys you during the quarantines and makes it so you guys gotta take a little break from them. Let us know. We thought it'd be a funny topic to talk about. Um, Getting in with the theme of this week, which is community. Um, I thought it would be good for us to kind of talk about one, how important community is, and not just community in where we grew up or where we're from, just the community that made us who we are, and then kind of talking about that. So I guess I can start and see just see what you guys, what is community, how important is community, and what is like your community around you guys.
I'll keep it in the order we've been going. For community to me is huge, just because I enjoy volunteer work and giving back in that sense. And it's opened up a lot of connections to me, even in my workforce and field and some of that. But I feel like, in a sense, like community as a whole, you have to come together, whatever it may be, right? Like everybody kind of, there's nothing prejudice, nothing, anything. It's just everybody kind of comes together to receive one goal. And I feel like right now for the COVID is a huge thing, seeing just like the commercials you see with all of like the hospital workers and everybody having to come together, and everybody's just doing things for each other right now. And it shows how much can get done with everybody pitching in, whether you have a lot of money, whether you don't. It's like what you can give back. And I think it's huge because anybody can do it. It's not just limited to any one person, one category, anything like that. And so I think it's huge just for the prosperity of it. And like, I think of the community garden. I think of like Pottawat Community Garden because I worked there, and just that community, in a sense, that was the first thing. But even Two Feathers and like everywhere where you are is like a small little community too. And so I think it's just huge to build the foundation of different things, whether you're where you work, what you're volunteering for, your family, community, your social, like there's multiple different types to me, in my sense, that I see it too. So.
Yeah, I think community is definitely the main purpose that I find myself always kind of falling back on, and that's always like pretty consistent with being there for me. And that comes from a deep connection of who we are as Native peoples. We're definitely community oriented people, really close. I have a lot of friends who aren't like really biologically family, but they're as close as family as it gets. And they're the people who kind of inspired me and pushed me through times where I was kind of doubting myself or doubting my own kind of pathway. And so, I definitely do a lot of it for them to reciprocate, that unconditional love and support. And also, so that's why it's kind of challenging in these times where we're mandatory to be isolated and we kind of do our own thing within our household. And it's kind of awkward for me and my family to like get used to. And so when we do like the 6 foot, 10 foot, like social distancing measure, it's just like, it's awkward, like I want to give them a hug. I want to give them a high five, just those kind of physical engagements that are kind of like almost frowned upon in a way now. It's just like, it kind of takes away that relationship, but not really, I think it just makes us work on verbal communication and just like being almost over communicative at times. But yeah, I think that it's interesting, community could look like different things wherever you are, you know. And I think out here, my community is very much, you know, Two Feathers, ITEP, Humboldt State, Native American Studies Department, and you know, it's great for networking. You know, the old saying of like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'm kind of learning that firsthand with my research project. And so, you know, community is everything. Community is what pushes people through tough times. It's also people like the community who you spend time with when celebrating success, celebrating life. And so community is definitely the foundation of who we are.
Yeah, definitely. I know that for me, community is who I trust, and community is who makes me who I am. So the more the not being able to interact with the community and the people that I am so close to is very like, it makes it difficult at times like this, but you know that it gives me solace to know that they're still going to be there, even when we're have to stay 6 feet away, or we have to stay in a different city or different whatever. Like, uh, community is something for me that's almost just as important as my genetic makeup, because it made me just as a person I am. Whether it's the Native community or the community back from where I grew up, it's something that is very important to me and something that I wouldn't be the person I am without. Uh, so that's kind of going on to my second question, is just who is your community? You don't have to be like, oh, my mom, my dad, and this, but like who is your community, and what is like the biggest influence I think they've had on you guys personally?
Uh, let's see. Well, for me, I would say my biggest community would just be like recently the last few years would just be like the Native community as a whole locally here. I feel like it's opened up a lot of doors for me for work and just getting to know people, family that I didn't know, workforce I didn't know. But I would say it also connects with like Two Feathers and my close family here. And it's nice just having some of my friends who've also done like summer camps here and all of that. They're now working for Two Feathers too. This was like 3 years back. So it's just like, it's cool to see that we're all taking steps within this little community here, and it's kind of expanding too to a bigger community, how we're able to even like do this series for instance, or in that sense. But I would say right now that's like my biggest community is the Native community here in Humboldt.
Yeah, and I kind of spoke to this just a second ago, but you know, thinking more about it, even though I'm not home with my friends and my family, you know, they're definitely the community that I think about all the time, that I am like really inspired by the most. And that also like kind of more locally to where I'm at here in Arcata, Two Feathers is a pretty big, like that's where I get to socialize the most, especially in these shelter in place times. Like just zoom in, you know, it's just like I get to socialize, get to kind of step away from the reality of just being stuck inside all the time. And then, you know, like I mentioned, HSU, and that is like I got different pockets of community at Humboldt State, you know, being a recent grad of my undergrad there in a Native American Studies department. I think I'm still in pretty good relationships with my cohort from there, as well as some of the faculty. In fact, two of the faculty members on my committee for my research program, my research project, are of the Native American Studies department. So, you know, I still have a relationship with the department pretty closely. And obviously the environment and community program, I have really good relationships with the folks in there, and they continue to inspire me in my academics, but also personally in my personal life endeavors. Um, yeah, and I think, and even the community, I think, you know, as much as like I have my mixed feelings about social media, you know, it's good to see a lot of local leaders who are just really voicing themselves and kind of being an outlet to a lot of different folks in these similar times. And so those people are always my sense of community. So yeah, it looks different for various pockets of community members, but at the end of the day, they are family and they are community in their own unique ways. And so I'm always grateful to have such a strong and supportive community no matter where I'm at.
Yeah, the community is very important. It's a very I know for me, I'm not, well, my family is from Humboldt County, but I grew up in the Bay Area, which is very big city or very big area. There's a lot of people, and yeah, it's a community, but it's hard to make those really personal connections. And I was able to do it with some people, and I have that people still as part of my community. But I know once I moved up here and once I started going, like you guys said, to Humboldt State, started being with Two Feathers, started working with the people around here, you really feel that connection with people that you kind of don't really have in a big city, and that you kind of don't have unless you want those connections and you really want to make that community bond. And that's something I think I've seen as difference between a really big city and Humboldt County is that the connections are much deeper because there's so many different ways of connecting with people, and there's so many ways of making your own community. So that kind of goes into my next question. Just how does how has your community like changed you, or how has it like molded you into the person that you are today? How has it like what have you learned from community, and how has it made you the person that you are?
Well, for me, community is a huge part in playing a role in like what I do in my career wise as well as in my free time. But just like kind of my experiences that I've gone through growing up has put me in different communities too. And so a lot of those people have played mentors in my life as well as led me to different stuff that I've looked into, different interests. But I would say too, like finding those communities, like what kind of going back to what Chris is saying, how in the Bay Area you can't really find that, but here you can. And that's something that I've realized too, if you like kind of dive in, that's what I've kind of been doing the last few things and the last few years. And it's really helped my sense of finding where I'm going to work. And it's wanted me to give back to kind of stuff that I've gone through growing up. Which is just different types of like family services that have played a part in our life and different stuff that's given back to me. I definitely want to play that role. And I see that being a mentor is kind of a good way to do that in a sense, and being somebody that would have been there, like who I would have want to seen growing up. And so I think community plays a huge part because I've seen different people that inspire me to what I want to do basically. I'm excited to, you guys are, I've been out of HSU for 1 year. I kind of took a little hiatus, so I'm going back, but depending on this virus too. So I'm excited to get thrown back into that community and get a little bit of structure in that sense too. But what about you, Charlie?
Community to me has always been, like you'd mentioned, kind of like teachers, mentors, protectors, whether I know it or not. And that goes the same for being the teacher. Not always is it like teaching as in what we may think of teaching as like, well, I said this and you interpret it. It could also mean like someone who's just kind of looking after you or has always showed up to events and you kind of said thank you and recognize that. And, it takes a little bit to like reflect. I'm like, man, they've been to like every one of my games. Like, that's awesome, And so just like that support and what teachings, and I think it's all interconnected, and community is kind of who made me who I am today. And so that's why I take it upon myself to, pursue my academic and professional career to reciprocate that sense of community to the next generation and hopefully, nurture the efforts to kind of break the cycle of the disruption of our sense of community. And so that's something that I've always kind of kept close to me, is just understanding that you don't have to really be close to be like a recipient of teachings or anything like that. And I think also going back to kind of like our ceremonies and how important it is for each member, each family to kind of fulfill their role and come together, put all differences aside for the sake of the ceremony. And, that's important. And I think that kind of signifies how important it is to kind of build relationships outside of the ceremonies too. And I think that's something that's pretty consistent within the local tribes, is just making sure that you have healthy relationships with the people and the natural world around you.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Like the best part of the community is just that they're there and they're there for you and they're there when you need them, whether you notice it or not. Like you cannot even notice for a longer time, and it'll just hit you. Be like, oh, this person's always been here. This person has always had my back. And I like how you guys are talking about like the role models that you've had and the people that have taught you and the teaching that they've said. Like I know that for me, when I'm looking to try and like work with different kids and families, like I want to be that role model that people had for me. And I think that makes us a stronger community because you have people like us or people like our other mentors or people that work at Two Feathers who do a great job because they've learned through other people because they've had that they've had those teachings. And that kind of reminded me of me and Charlie in our conversation with Phil Albers on Friday when he kept talking about like his life experience and the people that taught him and the people that were there for him. And what do you guys think that you guys can do in the future to try and be there for other people or help strengthen your community, or to what do you guys think you do to be that role model that those people were there for you?
For me, that's just, I like to give back in different ways that I can, and then try to involve that within my workforce. So one way I've done that is I've tried to get different certifications that allow me to go and give back to the community. So I've gotten like my master food preserver. I've also got my wilderness first responder, which will allow me to go back to HSU for the rec department, and like I could lead classes and guide and stuff for that sense. And I work Humboldt Bay Aquatic Center. There's some connections there with, I can go back to work with that certification. But it's just kind of, I also did a guide for some of the people that work for Pottawat Garden that were like, oh, you have this certification, can I do that? And it was kind of a group of elders that wanted to go out in the water. And so it's just different stuff like that where I see that I can kind of give back and do that. But I want to what I've been trying to do is kind of want to be it for everybody, whether it's like, I know it's the youth that I work with too, but a lot of my life lately has been taking care, like kind of checking on and involving the elders in my life, even before this crisis and stuff. And so I've been trying to think of ways to get involved with that too. And so a lot of the gardening was really cool. And that aspect's really, I've been doing a lot of gardening since getting my master food preserver. And that's allowed me to like kind of give back to some friends, whether it's like giving them succulents for gifts for Christmas or something that they can give to somebody, or like even in my garden. But it's just stuff like that that I think is, and trying to do hobbies out of it too. Like there's a lot of stuff that you can do giving back that like even see a lot of people right now are like crocheting, and then the mask making, for instance, is huge. So I just try to see ways to give back, and like being a mentor is a huge part right now. And I'm glad to be able to do it for a career right now, at least with Two Feathers, and have these mentorship opportunities too. But what about you, Charlie?
I think that's a really good question. I think a part of what I try to do to embody that giving back or reciprocation is just leading by example. I think oftentimes youth kind of see a lot of different social dynamics that kind of get to become normal, and that's just like kind of the way it is. I remember there's a point in time where like, damn, this is just like the life that I have in front of me, you know, like it's inevitable. But then there's certain mentors who are like, no, like you're different. Not to, and then, you know, there's a lot of issues with like, oh, you're different than the people that, you know, are struggling. And it's just like, why do I got to be different to like not be successful? So like there's a lot there, but at the same time, you know, it does take a little bit of hope in a dark place to believe that it's even worth kind of pursuing. And so I just want to be that kind of that like sunlight for some kids who are kind of going through some hard times. Like, yeah, I did it. Like, I have a similar story or a little bit different, but hey, like just keep working hard, keep putting your like nose to the ground, and you know opportunities will come. And then you know you just gotta believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing, and you know good things will happen when you do that. So lead by example is definitely one way that I like try to give back no matter what. And also just kind of also having like fun with it. You know, I think a lot of times it's just like, man, this is pretty hard, or this isn't very fun. But like, you know, just stepping outside, you know, just having that balance of work hard, play hard, you know. And so just make sure that you take care of yourself in the journey, because it is something that you can burn yourself out on if you don't. And so, you know, just having that balance and yeah, mentoring, you know, just physically kind of giving back and teaching life skills as well as educational tools and, you know, just this mentoring job at Two Feathers is something that really allows me to get personal, like good feelings. You know, I think a lot of times leading by example is like, dang, if anyone's even paying attention or if anyone even cares, but, you know, putting myself in the opportunity to teach and to lead and like in physical one-on-one interactions, I think is something that really makes like it fills me up too, you know. So that's something that kind of gets back to like the sustainability of being a mentor is like, you know, if it's kind of a stressful job, which it can be at sometimes, you know, how long would you even really want to be there for? But if you're like getting personal rewards from it, then that's when you're like, man, I can do this for the rest of my life. Like this money is just an additional bonus, you know? And so I think that's something that I really am passionate about is just having a role that I'm happy with and that really keeps me going.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's why, and I know that's why we do this. I know that's why we even have this series set up for you guys at home because we wanna be able there to teach you guys. We want to be able to kind of give you guys a dialogue and help our community as a whole. And this is just and it's fun that we like doing something that we have fun doing. We like talking to you guys. I actually got a message for one of our commenters who asking what uh what kind of problems or issues do you see with our in the communities that we have, and is there like any way we can fix it? It doesn't have to be specifically, or it can be like, yeah.
Well, one thing kind of you're relating back to the speaker series earlier with Phil and I've been done a little bit of the speaker series as well with some of the Native people in the community that are higher working in the workforce. And one thing that I've kind of heard talking with youth, Native youth and stuff was, and I feel working with Two Feathers, I've also noticed it is just a little bit is just the kind of motivation to go to school, whether it's in just an area where you can't really get to school very easily every day, or the homework situation and just everything. And now this whole virus being home and the whole workload of that homework. It's just, I think the whole motivation of really just attending school though, whether it's what age, whatever, but within, I think, our little community as a whole, talking with some of the judges too, the chief judges, that was something that they've been seeing too, statistically wise. So it felt better not to just have that idea that that was happening, that more of like it is something that we see now. But I feel like that's finding just that motivational factor. And again, Charlie kind of hinted on that earlier of like showing him like, yes, I'm going through this experience, but you can also take all of these different routes. They're a bit like you can do a whole bunch of stuff. It's not one route that's paid out for you, one road that you have to follow. Like you can decide what you want to do and figure that out. It might take a little bit more steps to get there because some people have, like, there's obviously different shortcuts, opportunities and stuff, but you can find those easily. Like some of the certifications I've gotten are like scholarships funds from, like, I volunteered at the garden. And so somebody was like, hey, we can get you a scholarship for this certification. And they paid for that whole thing. And so I think it's just really finding that and being able to find your like motivation, I think, in things. But school was huge for me, and being able to, like, I saw it as like not a way out, but I saw it as a way, being a first generation in my family, to go to school, get a career, do that. I seen it as like being a role model for my siblings too. And then that just kind of turned into a mentoring for a lot of youth in general. I realized that that's something like I enjoy doing and I want to do. And I can't really sit at desks, so this is kind of hard in the sense of always this work, but that's why I got a rec degree. And I hope someday I can do kind of youth outdoor adventure stuff and the masters, but I think just finding a way we can get them to go to school, because I've seen it as a helpful for me and it's provided me with a lot of resources. But I think that's the truancy kind of thing, and not attending school or even getting good grades and not going to school. Like there's so much motivation in that too. But I think that's something I've seen as a problem.
So the question was, what kind of issues do we see in our community?
Yeah.
So yeah, like kind of like what Mata was saying, like just like the hopelessness, the level of hopelessness or hope in general, I think a lot of times it could be blurred or dimmed because life's hard, there's no way around it a lot of times. And it's all about the journey. I think a lot of times thinking of it is like there's never going to be a destination where you have it all and I'm perfectly content right now. There's always going to be something, I think that's a part of it too, is just understanding that it's about the journey. It's not necessarily about the destination in life. It's like, how are you how are you going about life? Like, how are you living life to get to the point where you think is happiness? I think a lot of people think, well, growing up with no money, money is what makes you happy because everyone I know who has money is happy. No, but not knowing that the people who have money don't have their parents at home because they're working to get that money, and so like there's a lot of things that you don't really know. And I think that's what could kind of dim the sense of hopelessness or dim the sense of hope is just knowing that the grass is always greener on the other side and you're not even really putting much time or energy to water your own grass. You're kind of just stomping in it, and it's tough. I think that's a natural way to handle some things, but understanding that at some point, that lifestyle or that choice isn't necessarily what's going to get you to where you want to be. So I think something like, just and I think a lot of it comes back to just how disrupted, our lifestyles were and continue to be disrupted. And, it comes back to like a sense of belonging to a community or to a place. It's like, if the parents aren't around or if you don't have anyone around looking after you, then you do like, man, nobody cares. If nobody cares about me, why should I care about myself? Whether that's something that they know or not, I think that still can be the reality of a lot of these kids' situation or the kids' situation. And so I think that's one of the probably underlying things that I see. But, you know, stigmatizing it as to be an issue is kind of a problem too. It's like it's not, it's life. I think issue could be a negative connotation. It's just it's normal in some ways, but obviously a lot of people kind of have them more than others. But there's always hope. There's always a chance, and it's whether you put yourself in that position of opportunity or not. And everything comes from a valid place. We're brutally treated and continue to be treated in a more like subtle way. I think there's a lot of discrimination that continues to be felt, and it is easy to be like, well, what's the point? But at the end of the day, you will find a purpose. You will find something that you love enough to where like I want to do everything I can to make sure that they didn't feel those same hard feelings that I did growing up. And I think that's something that's hopeful, is just knowing that there is something out there that will inspire. There is someone out there who will inspire. And it's just kind of putting yourself an opportunity to make that happen. It's the hardest part.
Yeah, I love how you ended with the message of hope, because that's kind of what the biggest thing about community is. Like, you can be going through all this downs, all this negative stuff, and you can have this kind of outlook on the world which isn't all that bright, but your community is the ones that are going to help you through. Your community is the one that's going to help you be there, and it's in turn you're going to be able to help your community out. And I know that there's certain things in your community that that can be putting people down, but there are so much more great things about the communities that we live in, and so many more great things about the people that we are around. And there are so many great things about us as a whole that it doesn't matter what's going on, we can get through it. We can have that hope. We can have that kind of passion to get through this stuff because of the community that we live in and because of the people that are around us. That's something that I strive to be, that example for people just like you guys, just like everybody who's kind of watching this and wanting to do better with their life. Like, our community is going to help us get through. And that's why one of the reasons why I thought it'd be so important just to talk about the community that we live in this week. And I'm going to kind of end it with our last little tidbit, which is our community makes us who we are. Our community makes us like who we want to be. It helps us push us along our path. And whether we learn from our community, whether it's something that's good or something that's bad, we're able to get to where we want to be because of our community and because of the community that chose us and the community that we chose. So I I love the fact that we got to talk about community this week. I love the fact that we got to say that it's not perfect, but we're still learning from it. We're still getting through this life because of our community. And I don't know about you guys, but I do miss my community. I do want to get outside. I do want to see my people. And I do want to see you guys back at home because being on the couch when I can go and see my friends is kind of frustrating. Um, yeah, I don't know. You guys can speak on that, but I do want to see you guys soon.
Did you pick out any challenges for this week at all, or anything? Because if not, I kind of spur of the moment idea, but it's totally.
Do it. Say it. What do you want?
So we got our new Instagram page going. We got like 108 followers just checking in right now. And so I was thinking maybe anybody out there, whether it's adults, youth on our page, we can hopefully a lot of youth will let us know, but maybe share with us. You can send us a message and let us know some of the community members that have meant something to you. And we could share that with the community in our page, do a little snippet of a few of the pictures, depending on who we get. But it could be somebody, a Native community leader, your parents, somebody who means a lot to you that's been like a leader, mentor, somebody that you feel that's a leader in the community that you see even. But maybe just shoot us those messages, let us know. And this could go for the adults too, or anybody that wants to give a shout out, even for the youth that are being a leader in the community that you feel you want to give a little shout out to. But I think that would be cool if you guys can let us know. And again, our Two Feathers, I believe it's Two Feathers Next Generation. And for the at name or whatever you guys want to call it, you guys are probably going to hammer me. I do not know all these terms, but and the name for it is Two Feathers NAFS Youth with the exclamation mark. So again, yeah, get us those messages and that'll be good. And I believe we're going to be getting some interviews in here too, Chris, huh? I believe.
Yes, that is bringing to our next point. Please follow our Instagram. Talk to us about it on our Instagram. We want to hear from you guys. We want to know who's been your influence, who is a part of your community. That way we can bring all of our communities together and make it one big happy family. That reminds me, we are going to have interviews with our Two Feather staff. And we're going to have a little twist to our interviews. So it's going to be fun for the viewer. It's going to be fun for our staff. Trust me, it's going to be fun for you guys. We're going to get our first one starting possibly this week or next week. And we're going to have it with Dr. Virgil Moorhead, who is one of the faces of Two Feathers. So he's going to be, he says he's not excited, but I think he's excited to see what we have, what our surprise is going to be. So make sure you guys check that out. We have our first cooking show up from last week. Please check that out. Bubba Made Spaghetti. It was amazing. We're gonna try and get more of those for you guys. And then we are also gonna have our next challenge. Make sure you guys watch out for that. And please check out our Facebook page, our Instagram, our YouTube, as many stuff as you can on Two Feathers as possible. We have another, Charlie, I don't want to talk about this. We have another speaker series today at 4, I believe, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, today we have another pretty impressive speaker, Marshall Gons. He's been a pretty big community organizer throughout history, really. I think some of the highlight work that he's done is he worked coincidentally with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, and I think I'm forgetting one of them, but yeah, I think that should be enough right there to get the attention of the viewers today. And just to echo kind of what Amada brought up, for you Two Feathers youth out there, take this time to like think of it as like a shout out, someone who may not even be affiliated, but just like, man, they've been doing chores pretty consistently, been helping the parents out, just a shout out opportunity to kind of express yourself and also express the hard work that a lot of us are putting in, and oftentimes with no credit, even though that's not what we necessarily do it for, but it is nice to kind of get that recognition that can feel that the next half or next leg of what shelter in place orders might look like. And, I know I appreciate the support and, kind words from our viewers. And so I encourage you all to take care of yourselves as well. Your parents, I think a lot of times as kids, especially, or as nieces, nephews, grandkids, it's easy to be like, well, that's not my job. But I think parents appreciate it more than we could ever express. And so, highly encourage you to take the platform of our Instagram to express how you feel about loved ones. And yeah, so we're looking forward to continuing to have these conversations to give you guys a space to kind of talk about how you're feeling and what you guys been up to. So please share with us, and we'll be looking forward to hearing back from you.
Yeah, the more communication we get from you guys, the better. The more interaction we get from you guys, make it better for us. So it's not me and Amada Charlie talking to ourselves as much as we'd like doing it. We much rather hear from you guys. Next week we have a very, very exciting show for you guys. It's actually gonna be on Tuesday this time. I promise we're not gonna be able to change it. We are having Native News on with us, and it's a part of the speaker series as well. Make sure you guys check that out. We will be on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Make sure you guys check out our challenge. We're gonna have our 3 posts tomorrow at about 6 o'clock. Make sure you guys check that out. And then if you guys want to see our trick shots, we're gonna be doing a different one. I'm gonna be doing a different one every single day. I don't know about you two, but I'm gonna try and get as many trick shots and different kind of trick shots as possible. Just your interactions, more interaction we get from you guys is gonna be great, and I'm excited to hear from you guys. I miss my community. I'm excited to see it. I could talk about you guys all day, but I'm gonna wrap this up before I keep talking. So have a good day, guys. We will see you guys soon, and I miss you guys. See you guys later.
Later.